Hi friends, Stacey Fouts here with Be Unstoppable with Human Design. I'm an intuitive guide and coach who uses both human design and gene keys to help my clients come into alignment with who they were born to be. And gosh, when that happens, everything that you're not starts to fall away and you become simply you, which is so empowering and so freeing. Well, we are doing a series on the different centers, and today we're going to talk about the head center, also called the crown center. And I'm going to share my screen with you guys to show you where that's at. So here's a couple of different human design profiles. Mine is over here. So you can see the head center is the one at the very top, the triangle. And this center on my chart happens to be undefined. I have two gates that are filled in. If these gates were not filled in, I would have an open. And then over here is someone who has their head center defined. So look at your chart, see what you have in your chart. And we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about this. So 70% of people have this undefined. They're in the majority, and 30% have it defined. So this is like another pressure center, just like the root center that we talked about is a pressure center. It's the pressure to get things done. The head center is more of like the pressure to like know and understand, like to know and understand the mysteries of life. And so this is the center for divine guidance, divine inspiration, all of those things. And so if your head center or crown center is defined, you really have really a more consistent connection to inspiration, and you can be very inquisitive. You may deal with a little bit of mental stress in a consistent manner. So you're going to be a lot more consistent with the stress. Those of us that have the undefined head center, it's going to come and it's going to go, and it's going to come and go when it wants to, but yours is more consistent. So you have a little bit of stress, like all of us do. And you also have the ability to impact others with new and creative ideas. So ideas come to you also, inspiration comes to you also in more of a consistent manner. And so you're going to be a lot more consistent in like having new ideas, new and creative ideas. So you are designed to go inward for your inspiration, and you really aren't necessarily looking outside of yourself for your inspiration. So the way that you think, ask questions, and process ideas really inspires everyone around you. You may find yourself talking about like a new show that you watch, a new program that you're enrolling in, or like a new favorite recipe that you found. And then all of a sudden you see everyone around you following your lead. So you really do provide all of us with a very specific way of thinking and asking questions. You can be more analytical. So the head center is that really that channel of inspiration. And so having this defined creates a consistent sense of finding inspiration, inspirational ideas, inspirational thoughts, inspirational ways of doing things. And you're going to be inspiring those around you to inspiration as well. So those of us in the majority with the undefined head center, we can be a little bit more confused as to what things are more inspiring or more interesting than others. Many times we're not sure really what to focus on, especially in this age of information, like with computers and our phones and all this information coming at us. When there's so many different ways to get information and so many different ways of looking at things, it can lead to a lot of anxiety for us and really kind of like a disconnect from our intellect. Like it's not that we're not smart, we're smart, but we can feel a little bit of disconnect on what's more important to think about, what's more important to be inspired by. So we can also avoid conversations that are intellectually stimulating. And I would really say that depends on the subject and how much we know about it, because on some topics, I will definitely go down the rabbit hole with you on that. But some topics I do avoid because I just don't know that much about it. And so we can also kind of become distracted by the pressure to think think up answers, especially like questions on the spot can kind of set us off a little bit. In the not self, in our shadow self, we can give away our authority by relying on others to tell us what's interesting, what's inspiring, what's important. And I can tell you, I used to do that a lot, but it doesn't really work for us to follow, just blindly follow what other people say about things. And so it's really important for this one, for all of them, all of our centers actually, to follow our strategy and authority, to really know what's important for us. We have a healthy and a boundless capacity for wisdom. And we just need to really work on allowing the mental pressure to like pass through us so that we can tap into our authority. So I have splenic authority. And so if like a thought or idea comes to me and I'm inspired about it, like not all things that we are inspired by should we follow. And so I used to think, oh, I'm inspired by that. I really need to like look into that. So not true. Because just simply because it's inspiring doesn't mean we need to like follow the thread of that. We really need to run it through our authority. So as splenic authority, I can tap into that and go, is this important for me to know? Or is this something that I need to just like pass through? And many times, more times than not, there are really things that I need to like let pass through. So make sure that you're tapping into your authority, especially with this undefined head center. So we can also be really like sensitive enough to really kind of understand what other people are thinking too. So when we're not using our strategy and authority, this is what they call the not self. And really it's the pressure to answer unnecessary questions coming from the world. Not all questions have an answer. And so this pressure for the need to know and understand the mysteries of life, like science, spirituality, can really lead to dogma. And dogma is like that point of view or opinion that we take in as truth just so we can relieve the pressure to know, which is not correct for us. When in reality, there are things that we can know and things that we may never know. And I really had to learn to practice letting go of the need to know, especially when it comes to relationships. This is also the pressure to make sense of and to really understand our relationships. And you can drive yourself and other people crazy with all of your questions of wanting to know why. Why did they say that? Why did they do that? Like, oh my gosh, this creates monkey brain so fast for those of us that have the undefined head center. Like we get into our heads and this leads to a lot of like shoulds, or we just can't stop thinking about it or stop talking about, why did that person say that? Maybe they were just making conversation. We have no idea because we don't have a bird's eye view of things. We only know what we know. And so we can't know everything. And so this goes into overanalyzing and the need to know the answers to yours and other people's questions. And so when it comes to the mysteries of the universe, sometimes there's simply no answers, you guys. And that was like so huge for me to understand. So when I find myself going into my monkey brain and trying to make sense of something like a conversation I had with somebody and trying to like look at all the sides, I really have to stop and take a few minutes and ask myself, is this something that I can ever know and understand? Or is this something that I may never have an answer to? And most of the time it's something I could never know. Like I don't have a bird's eye view of this, what just happened. And so I have to let it go. I have a rather long list of questions for God when I meet him or her or whoever it is, because I just like, there are so many things I want to know, but there are so many things that are unknowable. So this is easier said than done, you guys. And if you have an undefined head center, you probably know what I'm talking about. I start ruminating on something and I ask myself, is this something that I need to know? No. let it go. So I let it go, and I'm not kidding. 2.3 seconds later, it's back in my head again. And this is when you truly know you're in the shadow and you're not self part of your head. This is truly the undefined head center. So be patient with yourself. Really continue to like take deep breaths, let it go. And over time, it gets easier and easier, I promise, but I still struggle with it. And so it is one of those practices that we just really have to be cognizant of and like hold true to, because it will drive you crazy. It'll drive you and other people around you crazy. So let it go, let it go, let it go. All right, those of you that have an open head center, for you, inspirations flow a little bit easier through you. You're not feeling the need to take on all the inspirations and follow that thread. And you don't really need to know, things aren't as strong and distracting for you. That need to know isn't like as strong in you as it is for those of us that have the undefined head center. That makes sense. So you can also have a gift for the clairs. Actually, with the undefined and open, the open a little bit easier, and the clairs are like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, all the clairs, and you can be really tied into the mystical. And again, if you haven't experienced this, practice with it, play with it a little bit, because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that, and there's a lot of videos out there on like tapping into the clairs. So check that out because it's really fascinating. All right. It's really just that connection with your higher power. So questions that you could ask yourself if you have an undefined or open head center. This is such a good one, you guys. Do I unnecessarily question relationships or conversations that I've had because I hope something will come out of it? I want to know the absolute truth. We can never know the absolute truth, you guys. And so some of those conversations, you just have to let it go. Let it go. Things that are good for us to allow ourselves not to have to know, to really allow the mystery. We don't know what we don't know. So allowing magic and inspiration and love, let them be your muse and your inspiration instead of having to know. Allow yourself to make decisions that may not make sense, but your body, your authority, whatever that is for you, knows it to be right. So we don't have to know why that decision is right for us all the time. We just need to know through our authority that it is right for us. And then the wisdom that you have from having an undefined open head center is you really do have the ability to be very inspirational and artistic, and really to help other people be less confused by their thoughts. So that's the crown center, head center. Next up, we're going to talk about the throat center, and that will be our last center that we're going to be talking about. So I'm excited to share information with you on that. So bye for now, and join us when we talk a little bit more about the throat center. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.